Education Director at Visionaries Voices here in Cincinnati. My primary mode of making is clay and drawing, and I'm going to talk a little bit here about Josiah Henson, as represented by Mr. Robert McFate. I wanted to thank Robert for inviting me to both view and speak about sign symbol art show Looking at the World via Highway 127. It's a really incredible show, and you should come see it until the 27th. Pretty soon, it's almost over, so come and get a private viewing of that. I particularly enjoy the metaphor of a road or crossroads as a symbol for life, and all the choices of travel, whether physical or spiritual, that we have in this path. I'm going to be referring to my notes because I do best that way, so here we go. So let's take a look at Mr. Henson's portrait. Here he is. Josiah Henson, one of the men about whom Uncle Tom's Cabin was written, was taken from accounts of his life. He was born enslaved in Charles County, Maryland in 1789. According to Documenting the American South and Encyclopedia Britannica, some good internet research here, Henson was sold to slave owner Isaac Riley along with his mother, and he worked to earn his favor. Riley appointed Henson to run his farm at a young age, and at 22, Henson married an enslaved woman. The couple had 12 children together, 4 while enslaved. Henson converted to Christianity at age 18, later becoming a preacher in the Methodist Episcopal Church. Over time, Henson's master began to struggle financially, and so he ordered him to transport 18 people, including his wife and 4 children, from Maryland to Kentucky. So this is where it becomes geographically significant to this space. As the group of enslaved people passed through the then free state of Ohio, local black people encouraged Henson and the others to stay. They continued on to their new master, however, in Kentucky, who, along with his brother Isaac in Maryland, took advantage of the Honorable Henson and denied him purchase of his own freedom through deception. So he tried to buy his freedom, and they kind of swindled him out of it because he was an honest man and he just went along with what he was supposed to do. As if continued enslavement weren't enough, Henson's new master, Riley, decided to sell him in New Orleans and sent his son to do the job. So on the journey, Riley's son becomes sick, and instead of just abandoning him and going back, or escaping, Henson takes care of him and brings him back to Kentucky. So he saved the man's life. And only after these many trials does Henson admit to himself that the system is going to be stacked against him. It has. He's tried to do everything right, and it's just not doing things the right way are not happening for him because of these other people. And so each of his acts of integrity only gains him a higher value as an object in the eyes of his master, so he escapes, finally. With his wife and 4 children in tow, he walks from Kentucky to Ohio, Henson carrying the 2 smallest children on his back. I've carried many a child on my back, and I cannot imagine doing that across the state, let alone into Canada, where he ends up next. So Native Americans and boatmen in Ohio aid the family across Lake Erie to New York, and from there, in 1830, they settle in Canada, where Henson finds work on a farm. After attending school, Henson's oldest son, Tom, teaches his father to read, and Henson regards this as a pivotal moment of personal growth and challenge because his 12-year-old teaches him to read. In Canada, Henson resumes preaching and works to organize the Afro-Canadian community in many self-sufficient ventures, including the Dawn Settlement. In the life of Josiah Henson, formerly a slave, now an inhabitant of Canada, which is the title of the book, by A.D. Phelps in 1849, he concludes, and I'm going to take out my phone because I want to get the quote right because it's from him. I will conclude my narrative by simply recording my gratitude, heartfelt and inexpressible, to God and many of my fellow men, for the vast improvement in my condition, both physical and mental, for the great degree of comfort with which I am surrounded, for the good I have been enabled to effect, for the light which has risen upon me, for the religious privileges I enjoy and the religious hopes I am permitted to cherish, for the prospects opening to my children, so different from what they might have been, and finally for the cheering expectation of benefiting not only the present, but many future generations of my race. So I thought that concluded the research page that I found, and I thought that really highlighted the character of this man who really tried his best to follow the rules, and they just didn't. There were no rules. They were pretend, really. And so I've been thinking about what this has to do with this present moment. I certainly don't feel qualified to say a lot of things, but I do have some thoughts. So when I came to view the show a couple weeks ago, Robert had mentioned the psychologist Carl Jung and individuation. I also am a big armchair psychologist or psychology fan. And according to Jung, individuation is the time in a person's life when they develop their self out of the undifferentiated unconscious. So, collective unconscious, and you're developing your own personality and experiences to form a whole person. And this is kind of just like what we do, but it's interesting to think about. And I think this can apply both to Josiah Henson's breaking free, pun intended, but from enslavement, as well as the cultural awakening that's happening today with Black Lives Matter protests and calls for defunding the police, etc. So we all originate from somewhere, with our understanding passed down from our parents, our families, and that understanding is synthesized through our own experiences as we grow into adults. For example, I can think as a white female that I'm not racist, or I was raised in a family that isn't racist, but that doesn't mean I'm exempt from these racial biases by any means. It's difficult to truly know where you stand within a personal system of values if they're never truly challenged. So I can say those things. I can tell you that, I was raised in Chicago, my dad was a cop, I have all these people who are police officers, I have all these varying perspectives and situations in my life, but that's just a laundry list of what? I don't really know. And so, but that's my gut reaction to qualify, like why I am not, for lack of a better word, a bigot. So this is how I feel right now. I feel challenged. I feel overwhelmed, but I'm certain that I'm the only person who can do this work and listen to other people and their experience. So it's kind of embarrassing to admit that, at 35, I'm not sure how exactly to move forward here with other humans or stand in solidarity with people who look different than I do, but I am here, and I don't expect other people to do the work for me. And I'm grateful to have this moment that's super uncomfortable and witness this crossroads of a kind where I can challenge myself to form what I believe apart from the whole that is my family. And I think that's not the same, but similar to what Josiah did when he became an adult and made those choices for himself and his family. So I think that's all I have to say about that. But come see the show. It's up till the 27th, and thank you.